Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today I'm going to share some fun cards that I made for the music teachers at our school as a kind of an end of the year volunteer type gift. And I'm using some pretty watercolor stamps from Rubbernecker. I will link to their website in the video description. This is not sponsored, but I really enjoy their stamps and I'm going to see them at the stamp show this week, so I was just really excited to use them and kind of get re-inspired. So when I go in their booth, I can kind of get a feel for what I might want to add to my collection. So I decided to try a few different color motifs here. I did one with cool colors and two with warm colors, the reds and oranges. And what I like is that you can alter this idea to make whatever card you want with the stamps you have. I'm just using white cardstock today and a couple buttons for embellishments, so it's definitely a limited supply type of thing. So this is a 5x7 card base made out of Recollections 110-pound cardstock, and then I have a 4.5 by 6.5 sheet of cheap GP cardstock for doing some stamping. And I also took that inexpensive Georgia Pacific cardstock and embossed music notes and script on two other pieces, and then I've got a small panel for stamping. I'm going to tear the edges of the embossed pieces of cardstock so they all look kind of shabby chic and vintage, and then I'm going to ink them up with some ink pads. Now all the inks I'm using today are the Tim Holtz Distress Oxide inks by Ranger. You can use whatever you want. I like the Distress Oxides for the kind of soft vintage look that they give, but you use whatever you like. It really doesn't matter. Any ink is going to be fine for this. The Distress Oxides, like Distress inks, will react with water, so it can be a little easier to get that watercolor look, but the techniques I'm going to show you today can be done with any ink pads. So actually the first stamp I'm going to use is from a company called Impression Obsession. They're also another stamp show favorite, and I'm going to be inking this up with a couple shades, this yellow, which I think is Wild Honey, I believe, and I'm also going to add some peacock feathers and some ice spruce so that I have kind of a neutral in there. And what I do is I put my bright colors down first, and that way I know I'm not going to get those ink pads mucked up, and then I'll go in the middle with that gray color so that if any colors get on the gray will absorb it. It won't be a big deal, but it will keep my other colors nice and fresh. Now you can actually get a couple impressions from this if you want to. I'm mainly just trying to get this 5x7 panel stamped, and since it is a little bit, my panel I'm stamping is a little longer than the stamp, I am going to have to reline it up and stamp again. When I have a situation like this, I like to put the paper down and put another piece of paper on top and then rub over the back, kind of like a printmaking technique. So then I took just the blue and went over that yellow top area and just stamped and finished up the panel that way. It got a little sloppy, but it does not matter because this is a background piece and we're going to be layering up some more. So it's just some fun techniques that you can do. I don't want to waste the ink that I have on this panel, so I'm just going to spray my stamp, and you can kind of see it perk to life after I spray it. And then I'm just going to use some scraps of paper that I have on my desk and make a couple extra backgrounds. These are really fun for cards in the future. You can use these handmade backgrounds to make all kinds of cool stuff. This next technique is one I learned from Impression Obsession at the Heirloom Stamp Show, and this is layering your stamps. I thought it was just fantastic when the demonstrator showed me how to do this, and it's basically you could take any stamps, big background stamps, and layer them on top of each other, and it looks so fabulous. You would never think that these stamps and these colors would look good together, but once you have it all down on a card, it just looks really fantastic. The next thing we're going to do is work on our focal piece, and I'm going to be using a bunch of different Distress Oxide inks to color my stamp. Now if you don't have a lot of ink pad colors, grab your water-based markers. These could be Tombows or Marvies or La Plumes or Stampin' Up. It doesn't matter, or even the kids' Crayolas, and you can color all of those flowers on that rubber stamp with different colors. I am just tapping the inks on, kind of going lightest to darkest so I don't contaminate my ink pads, and coloring it that way. Be sure to use like the corner of your ink pad like I am here. That will give you just little touches of color. But your markers are fine for this. Watercolor crayons, really honestly, if you got something that's water-based, go for it. Have fun with this experiment. Then after it's all colored, I am going to just press it right down on my panel. And remember, this is inexpensive cardstock from Sam's Club. It's the Georgia Pacific stuff. Works great for this technique. And there you can see we have a multicolored flower bouquet. Now, if you are finding that your ink beaded or skipped, or you weren't happy with how much it blended, you can go in with a wet brush and move some stuff around. Now, the neat thing about this is that you can spray that stamp and you can get another couple impressions that you could use on other cards or to make bookmarks or for other mixed media purposes. Sometimes I like the version after I spray it and stamp it better than my first version, just because it looks more like watercolor to me. And then here you can see the third generation, which is also really pretty. So don't waste that ink that's left over on your stamp. You can make other cool stuff with it. So the other thing I wanted to do was make a little vase, and I am a sucker for mason jar bouquets. I paint mason jar bouquets all the time. I have mason jar bouquets. There's probably flowers in a mason jar in my house right now because I love me some mason jars. And I am just going to stamp that on with this peacock feathers because it almost looks like that beautiful ball jar blue color. So I'm stamping that on, and then I'm going to do a little no line watercoloring, which basically means I either just use a wet brush to drag the color around, and that works better if you have a stamp that's got a little bit more rubber area, so it's more of like a solid color area. If not, you can just pick up the ink from your ink pad and spread it around that way. It works really well. And don't worry about it being like a solid coverage. It's glass. You want kind of some darker and lighter areas so it looks watercolory and also looks natural like glass does. I like to use the lid of my ink pad whenever I want to make a puddle of color to either spatter or to paint with. It works really well, and then when I close up the ink pad, that little drop of ink and moisture getting back on the pad is not a big deal. I've never had an issue with that before. I wouldn't go and add a bunch of water to my ink pads on purpose, but a little drop from the lid isn't going to hurt anything. And you can do that with any of your water-based inks, whether it's a Stampin' Up! Ink pad or a Memento or whatever you have. You know, that's a great way to have a little palette for it. That means you don't have to drag anything else out or make a mess somewhere else. And I'm also spattering on some yellow here because yellow and purple are opposite colors. They're across each other on the color wheel, so they make each other look more vibrant. If I mixed yellow and purple ink together, I'd get brown mud, but if I'm just speckling it and using it as an accent, they enhance each other. And I'm using this more pinky purple color to ink the edges because the pink isn't going to really make the mud over the yellow if they happen to cross-contaminate. I wanted to show you also how I am labeling my Distress Oxide inks. I put I cut some return address labels in half and just ink them up and put them on the edge of my ink pads so that they can sit on their edge in a plastic drawer under my desk so I can easily identify and grab them. Because before they were face up, stacked up in a tray, and I had to take them all out to see what I had. So now it's time to build our card. So I've got our pretty doubly stamped background, and I'm just mounting it on my my card base there, leaving about 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch border rather. And I'm using hot glue to stick down my embossed panels. I love using hot glue when I am working with embossed paper or also like mixed media paper where I've done lots of water techniques and it's like really bumpy, because it will marry those layers. Anytime you have a bumpy or rough surface, regular tape does not want to stick, but your glue gun will do the trick. And then since I had it handy, I just decided to use that for my focal point as well. I wanted to mention, when you're using hot glue, don't go right up to the corners or the edges of your panel, because if you kind of keep it within like 1/4 inch of the edge of what you're trying to glue down, it'll keep you from getting glue from squishing out under the edges and burning you. So the stamp I'm using here is by Stampin' Up! It's an old one, but I love it. It's called 3 Little Words, and then there's all these other little sentiments that go with it. I'll be using the thanks so much in the middle of my card, but it's just such a wonderful set, and I'm just making a little faux banner here by cutting up the middle here in the center of my strip, and then I cut in from each corner to the point that I cut into, and it just gives you a very symmetrical finished look. And you don't have to have a bunch of banner dies, because we have a bunch of different size sentiment stamps. We don't always need the same size banner, so this is a really quick fix, and it's free if you have a pair of scissors, which I'm assuming you do because you are a stamper. It took me a few times to get the banner looking the way I wanted it to. I put too much ink or I put too little ink, but I found that just by putting in a few droplets here and there, maybe spreading them out a little bit, I got that loose watercolor look I was going for. Often with these watercolor techniques, it'll look kind of messy and sloppy when you're first working on it, but then when you walk away and you come back, it has that beautiful, effortless watercolor look that you're going for all along. But it can be hard to see that beauty when you are in the middle of working with it and getting frustrated because like a drop of paint was too dark, or it went in the wrong place, or whatever was making you frustrated. I decided some buttons would be a nice accent. I like to repeat the colors that I've been using in my card. I've got quite a few colors to go from here. I've got lavenders, yellows, teals, pinks. So I basically just go through my stash and then glue down a couple that I think look nice. I usually keep it on even numbers, but I found that if I have a cluster of I keep it at odd numbers rather, but if I have a cluster of an odd number, then I can do another odd number elsewhere. So although I have 4 buttons on here, it doesn't look too weird because I did keep kept the clusters to odd numbers. That probably doesn't make any sense. But anyway, I'm stamping the thank you in the center, so it's 3 little words, thanks so much, and I sent it to school with my kids to have all of their 8th grade friends sign for their music teacher, since this is their last concert ever tonight at their grade school, so it's kind of bittersweet. I want to thank you so much for watching. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Until next time, happy crafting!